I got off the thing. Because nobody was coming on.
Okay. Shit, fuck it. What's up, though?
I don't know. There's a lot of things to talk about. A lot of things. There's a lot of things to talk about. I'm not sure.
Let's start at the crib. Let's eat the biggest frog and then work our way down.
I titled the last show "Dimensions of Reality" because I was watching. I was just getting a better concept of like different dimensions. At first, I've heard, I'm hearing that the first is 26, and then I heard is 11. I'm not sure. I'm thinking it is 11, but I don't know where they got the idea of 26. Yeah.
But so what about the dimensions?
I thought it was interesting, going into. I see like where in symbolism they use these to kind of represent these different dimensions. Like like I was saying in masonry, like or even because when they explain it like in geometry or something, they say it's a point, and then you draw a line. A point is the first dimension, which is like basically the idea, and then you got the second dimension, which is the line, and then the third dimension is the fold, and then the fourth dimension is I forgot how to explain the fourth dimension, but I think the fourth dimension is more of like expanding and contracting. But I thought it was interesting how they named it a fold, and in masonry they always talk about coming to the fold. And I see what in masonry they always talk about, joining the fold or coming into the fold. So it's like this thing coming to like a higher reality.
Right.
And then they say, I see that with the point. The point's the idea. And manifesting into like, reality or whatever.
Right.
The whole doctrine they always have, it's the idea and then speech and then words and all that stuff.
Funny you mentioned about dimensions. I was watching like some Batman, Superman thing or whatever. It was like Justice League or something, right? I don't even watch TV like that, mind you, but I just was at my girl's crib. I'm going through the Netflix, and this particular Batman-Superman combination was like, it was about dimensions. Okay? So there's a Justice League that's good and a Justice League that's evil. So, like, I don't know if you know, like, Superman, right? Like, his arch nemesis is Lex Luthor, right? So in one dimension, Lex Luthor is good. The Joker is good. So there's some kind of time travel process, but it's basically like in every dimension or something, there's like some form of opposite existence. And then he started going really deep.
Yeah, they always use that concept in movies.
Yeah, that's something I know.
It's like a mirror world, they say.
Yeah.
I think that what you're saying is like this world that we live in is kind of like is a mirror of the because the way they run the system it's a copycat of nature, and they mirror everything almost to the T. They try to mirror everything that nature does.
But the way they would like explaining is like it's based on decision. So
on decision, right? So that's
based on decision. Like it's some crazy shit where like the fish never decided to actually come and walk on land.
You're talking about like different like
different worlds or like
you know what that's all about, right? That's all about like that's all linked to like that like that's basically another choice or another direction. Like, it's basically, it's will. That's how to describe the fifth dimension. They say it's chance, and the Kabbalah is described as will, and it's basically like it's a realm of pure like chance. Like, basically, that's what I've heard. I suspect the thing called creation. It resides in that dimension, the fifth or sixth dimension, and it seems like, because like I don't know, like for me personally, like say I go into nature, right, and you see, and the thing that the events that transpire all around you, right, they all look like this pure chance, like a deer running somewhere, and then at the same time, and then see the clouds moving. But in my mind, that's all connected. It's all part of like a single oneness or wholeness, and that's basically like the fifth dimension. Like in my mind, I think like you actually can like communicate, but it's not like what people think.
I have a theory about that shit where it's like, I think like let's say this dimension thing, right? Like, you look at like scientific principles, like energy. Like, energy is not destroyed, but it's transferred, shit like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there's another alternate dimension where I make the decision right now to get a blowjob, and in the other dimension I make that decision not to get blowjobs, and I'm paid. I'm paid out of my mind, but here I'm not paid, and I'm like drinking and getting blowjobs.
That's an allegory when they say that, like, an alternate world, like that's a common theme you see in all science fiction movies or shows, series. Usually they put that. Every science fiction I've seen, they put that. I was in Stargate, SG-1. They used that theme more than once. That was in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Well, it was like, what if, and everybody else was just different. It's just, I guess it's showing you on one hand, like, you think about all the different choices we make, and it's like all the odds are against us, but yet we somehow, somehow me and you met, or your mother gave birth to you, or whatever. Sure. Like it's like the odds are always against us, but how do we do these things? How did that happen? How did I meet this person? And I put it to you, that realm, that chance realm, is creation. Is basically, it's something that has a mind of its own, and we have no control over that. It's that probability that, you can try to map things out as much as you want, but there's always that probability. It could be however high or low, that it's going to go another direction, that you won't know about. You can't map out. And that's another realm. Like, it's I don't know if I could play it. Maybe I can. I think I can. I don't know if it'll sound all muffled up, but I think I can play it on my headphone, on this phone, on the show right here, and you can hear the guy explaining the different dimensions.
Shit, I'm about to fucking I got this dude. Let me ask you this question, all right? So in this dimension, you know what I'm about to do?
Yeah, but we're living, and see, that's the thing, like, we're living in all these dimensions all at the same time. That's what...
Wait, that's no.
It's all concurrently. See, you can see, you can see the first dimension, you can see the second dimension, you can see the third dimension, because you're living in those, you're looking at them, but you're also living in the fourth dimension,
You have a link of this?
Or within the fourth dimension, I should say, but you can't see it.
The fourth dimension is time,
you can only see
the fourth dimension is time.
Yeah, so you can only see event to event, moment to moment.
You want to know something interesting about time? I know how to speed up and slow down time, Jared.
Yeah, but that's all in your mind. That's like adrenaline.
I know.
Different things like that.
It's based on how many events you perceive.
They've had discussions where they even thought like some people were saying that time didn't exist as a dimension. And time is an illusion, you know. And we are time. You're an example of what time is.
I'm telling you, no, time exists. You know what it is?
Yeah, it does exist.
It's events. It's events that occur. Like if I'm
in the expansion. It's something growing and contracting. And
but you know what? The thing that grows it is events.
Mm-hmm.
Like the perception of events. Like in one moment.
It's learning.
We could be standing next to each other. Me and you could be standing next to each other, right?
Yeah.
You could be the DJ of a club, right? You're the DJ of a club. Now, your focus isn't everything that's going on. We could be within the same room, and time will move faster for me because I'm perceiving and moving around and doing more events as opposed to you, the DJ, which is doing one thing and not perceiving many events. The night will go by mad slow for him because he's only perceiving one event.
Yeah, but you're only seeing it from that personal perspective, though, on each person's part.
Nah, if you go to if you take yourself and you go to Grand Central Terminal, right, and just feel how time feels to you as you sit there and you interact with Grand Central versus like being in a field.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a field by yourself, right, time will move really, really slow. That's why a lot of times, like, you'll hear people say when they go to New York or they go to, like, a major city, they'll say, everything's just so fast. And then when you go somewhere where it's not like that, you have a general consensus, it's so slow. That's not, it has to do with the frequency of you perceiving an event that's occurring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the more frequency how you perceive it, but you can't talk, it's like you're saying, You're coming with a judgment of what time is, and it's like almost the way you describe it is like you're speaking for everybody else. I'm not saying it like that. The reason why I picked up on that concept is because I realized like if I'm like I've been using it as a form of sort of allowing myself, because remember I told you the equation power. Even though you don't want power, and I don't really want power, but the equation to it is work over time, or work divided by time. So there's a time interval, right? Now, you get more power or more control in a situation, right, based on the amount of work you're able to do in this time interval. Well, the time interval is constant, right? But it can go faster or slower depending on how many events you perceive. The time interval is what? It's slower?
It's constant. No, the time interval itself is constant. Like 2 years is 2 years, right? But, like, there's a certain amount of sunsets and a certain amount of sunrises. But the speed of these things happening, these things,
right? See, when you call it, like, 2 years and all these systems of sciences of studying time or analyzing time or whatever.
Well, I mean, they're fluid, but I can't really describe it any way else. There's no other way for me to describe it in English. I know it's fluid because you have to change the calendar twice a year for it to be correct, right? So I know that, but I don't really have another way to describe that constant.
Yeah, those see, like, even how we're analyzing it right now, like, all these things that they, even the number itself and phonetic letters. I was reading something on Marshall McLuhan today, and he was saying that the numbers and phonetic letters and all these things, they fragment human beings. See, like, you only see things as event to event, right? And that's because you've been fragmented by your line of thought, by our programming and stuff. When you could have Aboriginal men, and I'm talking about Aboriginal who lived after the Ice Age, and these are just, our primitive men. these guys, they were religious because of, you know, that's all linked to the conspiracy and stuff. But this wasn't religion like how it is today. It was more of like shamans and just, you know, all type, you know, the spirits are everywhere and all these type of things. And these guys would say they'd go out hunting or something, and in an event somebody hurt themselves before they even went out hunting, and another event. Every event that they saw, experience that they witnessed, would all contribute to like what would happen in the day. Like basically, in other words, everything was connected. Like they would consider, and they were a lot like us in a lot of ways with the, you know, with their religious thinking and stuff. But like this part, like how everything that happened to them, they would consider as it was all part of like how do I say it? It was a wholeness that they saw everything, like every things that you won't even consider, like because you know we don't look at things that way. We look at it like a bomb going off in the Middle East or something, and a guy getting elected president in America. It's two totally separate events, but they wouldn't look at shit like that. They would look at it like it was all like these things are all connected. And when you learn about how the world works, you actually start seeing that it really is connected. It's looking at it's a ultimate way of looking at things. It's seeing things as they are. Like, you know, it's like saying, how can you separate past, present, and future, man? How can you? That distinction of separating all those things is where we lose, because they had no distinction for that. You know,
so I'm about to wage war on a billionaire right now in New York.
On who?
A billionaire.
A billion? Why? See, you know what it is, Don? Like, you live out there in the city, man, and I think, like, that area, man, I'm leaving the city, and by summer I'll be in a different city. I'm not going to be here anymore. I'll be in PA, higher elevation. I'll survive the first wave. Once the first wave comes? No, I don't know, bro. I don't know, because you're about to see something probably at, you know, in March or end of March or something.
Yeah?
It's not looking ahead, man. Like, I turned on the news today, and it's all, like, how they were saying, there's a civil unrest in Libya, and just everywhere, Egypt, and this is all not it's not a coincidence, man. While everybody's questioning their leadership and like revolt, it's all part of like there's a plan behind all of that shit, all part of the plan, and you're gonna see something go down, man. And I don't know, man. Just get ready to get the fuck at it. I don't know. I talked to you about it already. But
I'm in New York usually like 3 days out of the week, my nigga.
Yeah, but Pennsylvania doesn't mean Pennsylvania is
it's a step. It's a step away. I'm not going to stay in the same place.
You actually should stay in New York, but not in New York City. I would go to Ogdensburg. Yeah, Ogdensburg is like for you. You'd be like, what the fuck is this shit? Because there's absolutely nothing over there.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing. It's just absolutely just nothing and just nobody, you know.
I saw property's only like $25,000.
$25,000. Well,
yeah. No, I'm telling you, this is all right. So this is the plan. I want you to hear the plan.
Yeah, but the picture when that shit goes down, like, you think people are gonna be worrying about? Well, you know, about real estate, how much you'll pay for real estate. I don't even think it's gonna seem like it seems to me that would be more of like a free for all type of thing.
Oh, where you could just run up in somebody's spot if you got enough guns and take the spot.
I don't. You know, people. You know how people do, man. When they, you know how human beings when they, survival, man. Like, they'll eat each other, man. If they, I'm telling you, man. I know it sounds kind of negative or nihilistic to say that, but I think people will do that. Not, I don't think everybody will, but there are people who are like that, who will do that. I've spoken to so many people and they told me that. It's like, yo, if we came down to it, I'll eat the next person. I was just like, wow.
You said somebody told you that?
Many people tell me that shit, man. How many people tell me that shit? I bet there's people on the chat that will do that, man. Eat the next man. What's up, Neo?
Hey, man. Not much, you?
Just hanging in there. Yo, Neo, but I remember you saying, you said you had a problem with how they were describing those dimensions, and I was looking at it a while ago, and like it connected a lot of dots for me. It made a lot of sense. At least up to the 6th dimension or 5th dimension.
Yo,
but then they were describing the 11th dimension, the 10th dimension, and I was seeing. I don't know if you watched that video. It was really interesting how I know it's not how it is in reality or whatever, but it was a kind of good. It was an interesting explanation how the guy did it. You said you had a problem with something how you described the 6th or something like that.
Yeah, the problem starts, I think, from the 6th, because they start making distinctions between personal life and the universal lives, and they start looping it through. And
well, isn't there like a correlation? Aren't there always correlations between just principles from the microcosm to the macrocosm? And that's what it seemed like they were doing to me. Did you watch the whole thing, or?
I didn't watch the video. I just read.
Yeah, you gotta watch it and see the visuals and how they explain it.
All right, I'll check it out.
Where do you have it online?
What happened?
You have the video online?
Yeah, I posted it on Facebook right now.
So this is what I'm gonna do. All right. I'm creating posters that says Bloomberg hates black babies.
Oh, come on, man. You still... It's like you might as well tell people to go vote. Oh, man. It's not...
I might as well say what?
You might as well tell people to go vote.
What if I say Bloomberg hates black babies?
Why are you even going there?
It's just part of the promotions plan for the book.
Oh, for your book?
Yeah.
What are you, another Kanye? Book doing like, that was all, he was told to say that shit. Huh?
Yeah, I know. That shit played into the plan perfectly.
That shit played into the plan perfectly? Wow. So, what's good, man? What else is, did you watch the news around the world and shit?
No, instead I've been looking to the past, instead reading different books, studying, and planning.
Yeah. What you been reading?
I've been looking into, I have to go look up all the titles, but whatever Rosicrucian work there were, or Freemasonic work, I would just check them out and then see what allegories existed, trying to piece together the puzzle.
Yeah, I started to notice, like, the allegories, if you want to look at allegories, it's more subtle than just looking at Masonic, Masonic. Just go and look at all classic, or just little classic stories. Or,
you can watch Disney movies.
Yeah, you could do that. Or just read even the old Disney books by the author, and you'll find a lot of amazing shit in there, or just any type of legendary or fantasy, you'll find a lot of insight in that stuff. So, right now I'm reading 1001 Nights, the Arabian Nights, and that shit's so like that stuff's really interesting. The stuff they put in there. Like I actually made a blog post a while ago about it was called The Hedgehog, and another one was called. There's a few of them they have about the animals, and you'll see once you like you see like it seems like a moral story, but it's so interesting. You realize like when they talk about the hedgehog, they're talking about because when you see the characteristics of the hedgehog, and you see you see the characteristics of the hedgehog, and you see where he's just that he's a hedgehog, and you realize he's talking about the deans, the dollars. And there's other ones too, man. It's really interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if they use, the pelican as some type of allegory. And they even talk about wee men in there. Like they already knew. Allegory. What?
In what allegory?
I gotta find.
Alright.
I can go get the book real quick and I'll find it for you.
You can post it next time. You don't have to get it now. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing, looking at different older books. Next thing I'm gonna go look at some sci-fi books.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also looking at geography. I've been studying that. I've studied the planet, learning about isostasy. From what
About what?
Isostasy.
Yeah, I'm gonna call back. I'll be right back.
You studying about what? Isostatic, you said?
Yeah. It takes time from what I read, it takes time for land to rise. And then, I'm just trying to find the likely scenario. If a tsunami were to occur, how fast or how quickly would Ogdensburg rise? And how quickly would the Canadian Shield rise? Or would it even rise at all? I'm trying to find the scientific basis for this, whether it's going to be natural or is it going to be man-made. Because you can't predict something that's man-made unless you start trying to predict free will. I'm trying to see if there's any natural explanations to the land rising. From the geographers and scientists I've asked, they always say that isostasy occurs at the quickest 100 years. And this is noticeable, land raising. But places like Alaska, I think the land rises an inch every year. But what we're talking about is a couple 100 feet in an hour or something, or during the night, during a tsunami, before a tsunami. See, I'm just trying to picture out how it'll pan out, see how likely these things are. How likely is it that that place where the people are, they're going to survive? I'm trying to see what the viable options are. Maybe Alaska's a better place. I don't know, maybe somewhere in the Swiss Alps or...
well, that's just that Canadian Shield that rises, but isn't there... there's also, like, the Cap continent where that will be... That will be around...
if you're looking for height and a safe place, the Himalayas, it's relatively stable.
Himalayas? You said Himalayas?
Yeah, you didn't hear me? I said the Himalayas.
Oh,
yeah. The way I see it, the water has to be pretty, it has to move a lot to reach that area. But it's relatively close to where the Canadian Shield is, and no matter how high the Canadian Shield rises, if there's enough force within the water, it can come and knock it out. So I have to see what exactly is going to turn out. Maybe Glen might say, or he hypothesizes that it's planned for the Canadian Shield to be saved, so they're going to do it man-made, they're going to do it themselves. So that's an alternative theory. Yeah, because, I'm just trying to see why Ogdensburg, why the Canadian Shield.
Well, Ogdensburg, I think he came to that conclusion from, looking at it, looking at it on the map, and then just looking at the name and then investigating. And he actually wants to know more about it, and that's why I'm supposed to, I want to go there and investigate. He said they have at least 11,000 ecclesiastics in the area. That's telling you, like, that's the circumstantial evidence. I guess he's talking about, like, why. And then, Jennifer telling me things that people are saying to her over there. Like, one person said to her, "Oh, don't worry." And she didn't initiate anything like this in conversation. The guy said, "Don't worry, this place will survive earthquakes, any old natural, it'll survive. It'll be around." And she's just like, why is these people telling me this? Why is this person telling me this?
I think they're going to have ports. They're going to have stations, probably like 12 or 13 different areas across the globe where their own people can go and hide and be safe.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like there's like a type of infighting. I was describing because you got the Valkyries, who's the one faction, and then you got who's the other faction?
If I suddenly leave, it's because my phone died.
Yeah.
Letting you know.
You don't have a charger? Like, you don't have, like, a plug-in? And just plug it in? Like,
it's a home phone. I gotta go grab another one, but it's on a cord.
Oh. A cord that dies?
No, this one's cordless. The other one's cord, and it's not by me.
Oh. Yeah. He said that there's different factions, and they all have, like, their own type of agenda. Yeah, I guess it's just each faction is there for themselves. It's not like they work. I know they have different factions. They got knights, which turned into priests. I mean, they were priests and soldiers, and they just became priests, and then and that's where you came out, with the military. But then you have all these, but they don't really necessarily work together like that. It seems like they all just care about their own particular. They all receive instructions from each other, but they don't. I think it's because of the computer, which kind of manipulates everything. It gives them all instructions where it kind of all meshes in. How they give them instructions, they kind of work. What they do. They
attack the mind and the body, and then they figure out ways to coerce them.
Yeah.
If they are their slaves, they got to be obedient. That's what the system wants.
Yeah. So if they're really obedient, then you can just give people whatever.
Reading about the whole revolting occurrences. Where people revolt, and the common pattern is that people in the past, they could see the people above them, so relatively they didn't question who was in power because they could just look up the street and they would see their master, if they were a slave, or they could see like the king's palace and things like that. But today, people are dismembered from that, so it's more illusory. And then they're probably, first, I think they planned this. Second, I think they calculated how much information to put out so they could put this topic in the minds of the people. They also calculated the physical necessities or the physical detriments necessary to cause these types of emotions to stir, these types of thoughts. For example, they installed the financial crisis. So that puts people in a state of despair and fear, and they start wondering about these things. That's one catalyst, for example. And they do this through time. As Elal says, propaganda is effective through time, and it's a sociological force. So it takes a mass to make the change, not just one individual. There got to be groups of people that are pushing some type of thought. But I'm pretty sure there's more to it, too. There might be some type of, psychic pushing, a whole realm of science that we're not even told about.
Yes, that's what I think. That's all linked to will. That's why, and that guy in the Kabbalah, he mentioned that fifth dimension was will, and I can't even really get an understanding of it when he said will and chant, and I was like, oh shit, man, that's how it works, man. Like that whole, it's a whole realm of chant and basically it's just. That's where creation, that's why Glen says creation resides either in the fifth or the sixth dimension. And that's dimension, and and then now I know why primitive or original, they would look at all types of events, even if they were they seemingly weren't, they seem disconnected, because we're so fragmented from, all these things that they do us, that we don't see, we just see things by event to event basis. From your person who's totally brainwashed, you can, but as you get, you become more aware, you see that all these things are connected. All the different subjects in school are connected. And I think that's the same thing with time. We disconnect time, past, present, future, everything is all disconnected. But that's why, at least for me, when I try to communicate or whatever with creation, it's more of it's like communicating. I just for me, it's recognizing messages or symbols or messages from that realm. And it's in a way where I can't, it won't make sense to you. And it's totally asinine, to you, but it makes sense to me. I can't explain it. And just me talking about it right now like this is just, I know it probably sounds totally ridiculous, and I don't, because it's hard, like I was saying with Glen today, he was saying, it's hard to explain yourself to somebody.
You're talking about you were trying to communicate with creation, if I understand correctly?
What happened?
You tried communicating with creation from feelings? Is that what you
said? No, it's I guess that's part of it. That's how, in a way, I guess I could say receive messages. It's partly that telepathic, and it's not. I try not to use my mind so much. And in that sense, I try to use more my spine. And it's, for me, it's different. The way I do it, I don't recommend that people do it that way because that's just for me. For me, when I do it personally, I have to be in a totally natural setting. I go take a walk in the woods where it's just me in nature. And then something happens and I'm opened up a little bit.
You should study the human body. Go from
that's all. See, this is gravy time for us because that's all. We just have all that time. I mean, we have so much to do, Meanwhile, people are wasting time on so much bullshit, and there's so much shit too that we could learn. I definitely want to learn about anatomy, and it's interesting to learn about anatomy. and just why they name these certain parts of the body, why they name them that exactly, you know?
Yeah, I've been
and
looking
use
at
that.
it. Yeah, some names, I don't know specific examples, but they usually name it, from the patterns I saw, they name it by what it looks like, either in Latin or either in Latin or Greek. They'll call something a pear in Latin, for example, if it looks like it. They call the cerebellum the tree of life, because that's what the branches at least symbolize or represent when someone looks at it. Yeah, I've been studying anatomy. I forgot how many cranial nerves we have, but the number 12 keeps popping up in my head. I don't know if it really is 12 or something else, but the number of spinal nerves we have, I think it's 31. Like I've been looking at those numbers. You have gray matter, I think, on the side of your spine and on the top part of your brain. It's like reversed, because your entire cerebrum is gray matter, and then the inside, the corpus callosum, and the entire dorsal area, the bottom area of the brain, is white matter. White matter speeds up the processes of the gray matter, pretty much. At least that's what science tells us. Recently, they posted a new study. I don't know how real this is, but they said an axon now, they found out it can work backwards, because this entire time they said it starts from the cell body, like the nucleus, and it sends it out. Now they're saying you can do the thing backwards. So it'll be think of it as like if you can take the entire communication process, let's say apply the secretion and make it in reverse. I'm gonna see if that's possible. Finishing
when I communicate, it's part of like what I try to do. I try to go like right now. I try to practice it, like, at least for me, you know, I try to do it as much as possible, once a day maybe, but it is nothing for me, like, it's just not ritualistic what I'm doing. Like, this is not, I'm not kneeling down and praying, I'm not meditating. This is not, like, I don't want it, like, if people are listening, I'm not trying to confuse it with that.
No.
This is like, this is something different, man. This is,
I've seen, at least I have evidence from personal experience that organizations exist where their sole purpose is just to increase their own psychic abilities so they can influence reality via the mind.
That's the whole thing, like with, they talk about will and intent, willpower, stuff like that. I've seen a lot of that, like in almost occultic sciences or whatever. That was used. Actually, that was. I thought that was in that. Actually, you know that story at a Torpor. I came across this blog. You probably came across it too. And it's a blog. It's like a Hollow Earth blog. And you guys, there's like a whole bunch of books, man. Really good books too. It looks like that talk about, you know, the stories that people went into the, you know, underground cities and or whatever, and they met another race of people. And I saw two in particular. Others were just like the Hollow Earth. It seemed like type of disinformation, but like two of them I came across that it seems really good, and I actually found one. I hope I can purchase it. It's like $144, man. But that it was like that time, like in the late 1800s, I think it was, early 1900s, like that period of time. Like so many of these books came out.
Yeah,
I guess it was part of that. What happened?
I found them in Russian too, in all these different languages.
Yeah, I found some. I actually found one Russian book called Vladimir. I made a post about it. I forgot his name. But they had two versions of it. They had more of like an English version, and they had a Serbian version. It was called The Three Beggars, and I heard about the story from watching that movie. Antichrist. I don't know if you ever seen it. But that's a really, really, and I recommend people watch that movie. You know, if you understand like the premise. But that movie's really interesting. But that in the allegory of the three beggars, it's like a guy who's basically like engineered. You know, he's basically dropped off and ends up in a monastery and then picked up from a monastery. And it's basically about a guy who wants to kill him. This evil rich guy supposedly wants to kill him, but you see like he gets help from this gets help from a well, and it's just interesting, you know, a well, who's like a bridge, and almost like a ferryman, and he's told to go look for treasure under a tree. You know, all those little allegories it was put in that story. I thought it was interesting. It's a children's story, but and in the pictures, totally all like checkerboards and all that stuff.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen that before.
Yeah.
I
was.
Back to time. You know, if you think about it, time is probably eternal. Though the brain, one of the seats of experience, is at a different speed. You know, if you try to think of this world but zoom out, we're functioning on all these like natural laws that are predetermined to create this reality, to create this type of experience. But this doesn't exist in other areas. This type of experience doesn't exist in other analogous or parallel areas. You gotta branch off so far where time is non-existent, meaningless, where everything.
What time is this? I think it's our perspective of it. Like they even said, like when I was watching that video, that guy was saying there's another video where he explains. Well, he doesn't do it. It's not. There's a video where he explains it like it's that, because that thing that you read was basically like a transcript of what he was saying. But there's another one. It's different, and he explains it more, but he goes into like the different 11. He goes into 11 dimensions, and he was saying that time was debated. Like people were even saying it didn't exist as a dimension. Because it's like illusory, that whole fourth dimension. But it has to exist for all the other ones to exist. It's like a building. If you take that out, the whole thing will crumble. Like numbers or something.
I don't know what they base these things on. I don't even understand their physics. If this is just a book that they published. We got to go look at the source. Where are they things from?
Yeah, of course. I noticed there's something to it. Like it's always, that's pretty much standard to everything that we come across. There's nothing that's just like pure truth, pure unadulterated, just not tampered with. There's nothing like how it is. It's usually always something attached to everything. But I don't know. I for me personally, maybe you already learned those things already, but I found something that it gave me like a insight into something that I didn't have. Hello?
Yeah, just listening.
So.
Is anyone else on, or is it just us?
Let's see. I think. Who spread the love? 2010. Who's that? Spread the love. I don't know, like 7 people on.
Bunch of lurkers.
Huh?
Just a bunch of lurkers.
Yeah.
They don't participate.
Liberty, Felix, Gixer, Mightiest, Guest 10, Guest 9, Prime Minister, Mr.
They're doing something.
What happened?
I said I don't know. Maybe they're doing something else.
Yeah, they're just like on the chat, like typing, and I really can't keep up with people type on those things.
They just call in. Why are they just? You always have people just going on there and.
Before people talk about some ridiculous shit about like drugs. I think sometimes I think some people are just sent to just like almost like debase everything I'm talking about. Just just kind of ruin it.
Or if they think that's necessary anymore, because people will naturally start doing that. They don't have to pay anyone.
Like that stuff didn't really start coming till like actually yeah, it's always kind of come and gone. Yeah. But like how he was explaining that shit, man, like I was like amazed a little bit. Like,
do you know anything about M theory? Because that's what they talk about.
Is that your phone doing that?
What?
Like a clicking.
I hear it. I don't know if it's my phone or not.
That's not my phone, man. Anyway, M theory. I heard about M theory, and I think M theory, they talk about like 26 dimensions or some shit like that.
Dr. Glen, he even said that.
No, he never said 26 dimensions. He said 26 universes.
He said 13 of them have free will. The other 13 don't. That's the idea he gave me.
13 of them what?
He said 13 have free will, and the other 13 don't.
Have free world?
Yeah.
What do you mean, free will? I don't know.
As in the people there, 13 dimensions or universes, there is free will. The other 13, there isn't.
Oh.
And then you compare the two groups. You know, like in a science experiment, you have two groups, and you compare the people. Probably like that, you know.
Wow, that's interesting.
That's what he mentioned. You know, I was trying to find a source to that. M theory might be one thing. I think it picks up a lot of stuff. Glen picks up information from like everywhere.
Yeah, I would like to look into M theory. That's one thing I heard about it, and that's I think I'm gonna do that tonight. I've been interested in that shit, man, like quantum physics, and I look at the names of certain figures who made quantum, like the guy named Neil Bohr. Like, what type of name is that, man? He's like a bore. He's digging.
This whole quantum thing is kind of fishy to me.
It's fishy to you, you said?
Yeah, it's fishy. It's too wrong. Too many coincidences, symbolisms. Too new age.
Oh yeah, you should have linked like what's that guy's name? I actually got a video where he goes, if you have a golf ball, there was actually some truth to what he was saying. But he was saying if you have a golf ball consciousness and you read a book, you only get golf ball knowledge or something like that. But if you expand your consciousness and it was basically it's quantum consciousness, they call it, quantum thinking, some type of way of looking at it. It's like a philosophical, quantum, physical way of looking at things. But I think it goes to that new age. But there's you can go look it up. Oh, I forgot the name of the video. I always forget the name of the thing.
I think they're trying to use quantum science, neurology, computer technology to explain the mind. I think that's what their goal is. Because that's one of the things they want to do. The lower level scientists, they're intrigued by the mind. They want to emulate it again.
But it seems like in science, right? Like it just seems like they go out the mind and they just stop there. You won't. I don't think you'll find explanations for like certain phenomena in human beings, in just the mind. If they explored the spine. I think that would dispel a lot of because they like people like this one guy was saying on the chat, he was talking about the pineal gland, and I remember Glen was mentioning like the pineal gland it's a chemical in there, and it's like supposedly I've heard it say it's linked to sleep or whatever. Like when you close your eyes, not close your, when it's night, that's when it's released. But that melatonin is linked to when we were fish or something like that. It's linked to our past. Or it wasn't the guy said pituitary gland. But what Glen was referring to was the pineal gland, and the word pine, it has the word pine in it. And you know what he says about how the whole deciduous trees, and the pine is what the word spine has.
Most of the brain is a mirror. Whatever's on the left side is on the right side. Except,
really?
Yeah. Your left cerebrum, all the parts are mirrored on the right cerebrum. Mm-hmm. Except, I forgot the list, but the one I remember off the top of my head is the pineal gland. It's right in the middle of your brain. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I remember learning about like how we were more right-brained at one time, but you think there was a time we were just all-brain? You think it just maybe after the Ice Age it went to one extreme and then to another extreme, right? The left brain, which is today?
From what I know, the left brain processes language, and 99% of people, they process language on the left side. So I would correlate it, at least from what I think seems the most probable, is that once language became popular, then that area evolved to be more efficient. You can look at Broca's area and Wernicke's area, and just Google that, and you'll see how closely related that specific region, those specific regions are to language processing.
Yeah, Jennifer was telling me too that like before the Ice Age, like the original, they didn't even talk to each other. They didn't have a language like that. It's verbal.
The last glaciation around like 12,000 BC, that time?
I don't know. I'm not sure what time period, but what I think of is before the Ice Age.
Because, there's multiple Ice Ages.
The last one, I think.
Well, the Ice Age occurs gradually. It's not just like, okay, tomorrow's the Ice Age. At different parts, at different parts of the world, the Ice Age occurred, and it gradually, like, defrosting itself. Like, probably Africa, maybe Africa wasn't in an Ice Age, but, like, Antarctica was at a time. But if you reverse back...
Antarctica was hot at one time.
Right, yeah.
And everybody went there because they figured, hey, that's where the sun goes, where the sun is. They saw the sun setting in that direction. So they went in that direction, and over time it just became cold, and then you have your Eskimos that live there. Stay there. Oh yeah, with that third dimension, that's what I mentioned earlier. The guy described it as point, line, and the fold. Like the point was the first dimension, and then you draw a line, the second dimension, and then the folding is, the fold is like coming out. Like you see that third dimension. And that's why in Masonry they talk about coming to the fold. It's like coming to a higher reality. Like I noticed they use that dimensional stuff as in their symbolisms. Like, abracadabra, right? They say we have 11 dimensions, right? Look at abracadabra, the incantation. It starts with A, then A, B, the ABR, and ABRC, and then abraca, and basically it's a pyramid from the bottom up, and The A is 1, the idea, and it's basically, when you count the lines, it's 11 lines. 11 dimensions.
They wore it as an amulet, from what I read. Like all the, they wore it as an amulet. That had like some
I think so.
Symbolic purpose to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, we keep talking about dimensions going up, but what about going down to the...
Like negative? Negative 1? Negative?
I didn't think of negative. I was thinking of 0, like the monad, but the negative is interesting.
He did describe 0, I think. I think
he described 1, but he didn't describe 0.
1 is actually, in symbolism, is written as a 0. Kind of like a 0. That's,
yeah, but how would people
that's why you got the computer is drawn as a circle. And then it's a dot. It's the first dimension, kind of. It's the beginning. It's the idea. It's what started everything. And that's what you try. It's like a boast. The computer is saying by using that symbolism. On one hand, it's an eye. When you look at it, and in another interpretation, it's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you see that the circle within the dot. You see not only that in religion, but you can look at the older languages, like ancient ones, that they've been writing in hieroglyphics. That's even prominent. It's like a common symbol. Predating Baal.
Oh, really? Yeah.
You remember the movie Dark City?
Yeah.
That's a pretty telling movie.
Yeah. Yeah, in the movie Dark City, the guy was they had the living in total darkness, and they got
there's hundreds of
machines.
thousands of them. Do they mention?
Yeah. Yeah. And they're all linked to that machine somehow, right? They're all linked to that master computer, which changes everything. And you should watch the movie it's a classic movie. It's called The Forbidden Planet. Came out in the 50s. Where they go into another planet and they go into the underground city. But there's like an abandoned computer city down there. And there was like an advanced race of people that lived there, and they all use this computer, but the computer that they connected to, transfer their brains to, they could create whatever with a thought and materialize everything with a thought, it would say. And I thought that was interesting, but then it was spun off into the whole Sigmund Freudian, the id. It's basically the guy. He's like, your id will destroy everything. And it was basically what the people who advance their minds. These guys when they went into this machine, it would take the subconscious id, it would materialize like an invisible monster, and it would destroy things. And that was the whole science fiction. Whatever part. Yeah. It was a good movie, I thought, nonetheless. For its time.
Forbidden Planet. That's what it's called.
Yeah, that's a classic movie, man. That's classic. It's so Hollywood at that time. You look at the way the girl. The female actor at that time and the male. Just the way they look too. It's just so the way the guy's face and the perfect short hair and the cleft in the chin and all that shit that they all do. The girl the blonde and pretty funny.
Futurists today, the common idea is futurists. They their theories today are that we're approaching that exponential curve, like Moore's Law, where technology will rise so rapidly. There'll be technology where we can connect the mind or upload the mind to like a machine and live forever, essentially immortal. And that's what a lot of people, or these futurists, are after. The transhumanists.
They want exactly what the masters did. And that's what destroyed them, man. By doing that. I just found out today, I didn't realize, when the Neanderthals, when Glen was saying Neanderthals, when they split the genders in two, the whole reason why they did it was they told the clan mothers that it was to help them, but the real reason was to help themselves. They wanted to help us for themselves. But they're like, oh, well, we're going to help you. And that was what started everything. And then later on, whatever changed, something changed, and, they had to fight. And at one time, somebody put a program in their computer saying, make everybody equal. And then over time, somebody else said, no, that's not going to work. They're like, instead of working with a premise of everybody's equal, this, person said, let's work with the premise of us, we are superior, and make us superior. And then he said, once they did that, then creation is basically like, okay, we have to destroy this, or it's going to have to be destroyed or whatever. But it was on today's talk. It was really, I don't know if you listened to it. It was really, it was toward the end, or middle end.
If you were to ever get a different job, I think you should be a detective.
Me?
Yeah.
Why should I be a detective?
Because you look at all these different things. I think we all should be a detective. We look around this information and piece together what's happening.
This girl asked me that on Facebook. She goes, "What are you doing in life?" Right? I guess that's how you would check, because she was speaking to me in French, translating it. And basically, I was like, I'm just an investigator of reality. I don't know. A lot of people would look at that and like, this guy's crazy. He's investigating reality. But that especially sounds kind of valid, man, to me, to be an investigator of reality. Because instead of just saying I study history, I just say, investigate reality. Because it's like I practice everything, man. I'm practicing all of it. I don't know. Glen calls me. He says I'm a philosopher.
That before.
Is that what you really see, man? Like I'm just like this philosopher guy, or?
I see you as like an investigator guy or a detective type of guy, trying to piece together different allegories. But I don't see you as like a science type of guy that would look at the linear...
The scientific evidence?
Not just that, but you won't look at the linear stuff. You would look at the circumstantial, indirect stuff. Because see, I'm looking for some linear data on like the land in Ogdensburg. But then the things you're looking for, they're not linear. You're looking for like hints, allegories, things like that. Now, I think we need both of them, actually, not just one.
Yeah, I look at linear, I look at allegory, but like it's not just like allegory. I kind of I try to because when I watch the movie, like, it's to the point now, like, okay, I watched the movie and I see an allegory or whatever. Like, it comes to the point where, like, if you keep looking for allegory, you're just going to be looking for what you already know. and you're just going to see what you already know. So what's the point of looking at something like when I look for an algo, like I look for whatever, I look for an insight or something that I didn't know before.
Right.
Like they'll make statements in those movies, like, and there's an audio I listened to of Solaris, and they said some really interesting shit, man, about God and everything. And what the guy was saying, he was like, imagine an imperfect God, and actually, I'm gonna make a video about it.
Yeah, some of these things, like, I want to start talking to, like, the writer of Dark City, for example. Like, who told you to write this, or where the ideas from? I want to talk to these people. I'm trying to find out where I can get their contact information.
I tried that, man. I tried contacting the guy who came up with The Watchmen, Alan Moore. I tried doing that, and I realized, man, like, it's just set up where people of the public can't contact these guys, man. I mean, I guess you could if you really, really tried, or like travel. Like if you're living in Hollywood, you probably come in contact with all types of
people,
writers and whatnot, directors. But you're not gonna find it like off the internet. At least I don't know. Like I couldn't find it. Like picture how.
Got to see him in person or talk to him. I just want to see. I've been talking.
You got to know like the events they're attending, right? Like, see if you can be around.
I've been trying to contact some people in the movie industry. I'm trying to see how their entire process works. Like, where do these ideas come from? Who are the people?
It comes from their little, because they'll be part of like alchemical orders or something, some secret society, and this is what they do behind closed doors, though. Because they have access to that information, they're given that, and these guys are people who really like they practice the rituals and all that, and the religion and all that, and so they just take that and they just write a story and stuff around it. That's their real skill doesn't come in like the information. It comes more in like how they make it a story. Their skill is more cinematography, how they write. It takes a skill to write around, to take a concept like that and make it a story, make it a movie, turn it into like some type of visual,
Yeah, but the question is, who are the people that have the information in their hands, and who are they giving it to? Like, is a writer coming up with this, or is someone?
Yeah, right. I wonder, like like these writers, right? Like, I remember I watched the whole series, Stargate, SG-1, and I'm like, the writers know, man. Like the concepts for all these episodes, it was just like. The stuff was like, wow, man, this is all the conspiracy here. Like when I watched that, I mean, I don't know if you've ever watched that series, or even Star Trek, man. Like, but then it's like I started watching the series Star Trek Enterprise. They have some good stuff in there, and it's really the symbolism is kind of interesting because. And actually, they actually show you the whole contract law in there, like because in there, like it's basically they're in a vessel, they're ship, and they're sailing.
I mean, definitely it's controlled.
Yeah, but the main captain was this guy. His name is Captain Archer. That's interesting name, Archer, and he has a second in command called Paul, who's this. Man, who's just completely like, she has no emotion. No emotion. And it's basically telling you how, like, she's like she's the one that's really in command because she's number 2. And I used to notice like the color schemes of her uniform would be like purple or something. And I thought that was interesting. And if you watch Star Trek with Jean-Luc Picard, I guess that was the most popular, one of the most, yeah, that was the most, second, yeah, that was a popular series. And he referred to his Commander Riker was his second in command. He always called him number 1. He's like, number 1. And I thought that was interesting. Why would he always refer him as number 1? Because I guess he's really, that's the whole Masonic thing they like to show. The number 1 is really the real one in charge.
Yeah, I mean, lots of details to look into.
And that guy, yes,
Yeah, all I was gonna say was it's definitely controlled because the media is a form of communication that's too powerful to be left unchecked. It can inspire people with an idea, so they have to control this medium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, they
I think
it's definitely controlled. It's not just TV or Hollywood. It's book publishing in universities. It's so controlled. Like it's so the way it's presented to us, like our perception of say fraternities in school, universities, comes from media. They present it like it's just guys getting drunk, having fun.
Like that.
But what?
On the outside, it's like that, but on the inside, it's not like that at all. There's like an esoteric nature to it. It's college fraternities are like training grounds for the real world of future slaves. It's just like a filtering mechanism. But I mean, the people are too young to understand it. They don't care about those types of things.
Well, maybe. Remember Revenge of the Nerds? That was like, yeah, look at that one, man. That was really interesting, man. When you watched that, I watched like those few. It was like a series of movies. Kind of interesting how they presented it on that one. But like I see this university I live near. It's a really big one, from Stony Brook. I don't know if you heard of it. But it's all fraternities, and they tell me I was told like these are fraternities like when you graduate and you can show like police your card of the fraternity you're in, and they'll let you go. And if they were in that same fraternity or whatever. Because they have fraternities and they have like they're associated, nationwide. These fraternities, man, it's like a nationwide. Not like they'll have different branches of them in different universities, all like linked to each other, like Lambda, or Phi Beta Kappa. They have so many different Phis. And that Glen was right, man. That word Phi is a really important word, man. I keep seeing that, like Dr. Phil. There is no L. Dr. Phi. And he said Phi is linked to the hip. Hip is he said big bottom ladies. I grew up, man. It reminded me of nuns that I knew. They had big bottoms, man. Big fat ass. Almost like they wobbled like penguins and shit, man.
Okay. Phi is like the golden mean.
Yeah, the golden ratio. Oh, yeah. Type that in Google images, pictures. I found a really cool picture with that Phi. It was really interesting.
pattern.
Huh?
The interesting pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a spiral they try to draw that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that a lot of mathematicians that are part of these organizations,
Oh, yeah.
they do all these like data mining things. They're trying to like predict the future by math.
Mhm.
Pretty sure they're failing right now because it's hard for them to predict the mind. Base it on like probabilities of physical laws and like chemical rules.
Do they really? They do data mining things with like try to. How can you predict a human being, man? There's so many different like. I guess they look at it like there's always that probability, man. Where like, well, it's not in. It's not. It's like against the person. Putting the test. Like there's always that probability that like that part of it that has a mind of its own. Always like that chance. I guess that's why they came up with like games like dice. Those are all like Masonic, games and stuff like from these guys. And I guess that it's that fourth dimension. I guess that's what those dice are talking about. Actually, how many sides is on that dice? 4, right? Yeah, 4.
Size?
No, 6. 6 sides. Almost 7.
That's
it's
standard.
Huh?
6 is the standard, but it can go up.
6 sides? Really? Oh, yeah. Yeah, like they used similar, like when the pyramids at first were 3 sided, and then they went to 4. They're talking about a 3 to 4th dimension type of thing.
Is there really a part underground of the pyramids? Like, does it really go?
Yeah. You can look that up in Google Images or something.
How deep does
You'll see them like they always had parts on the ground. They would have these parts that went on the ground. It would be like chambers and stuff on the ground.
Oh no!
In Giza.
But is it like a triangle underground? Like an inverted pyramid? Is it like that or like a?
Yeah, I've actually seen some. I actually see some pictures where they draw pictures with like another pyramid going on the ground. Like,
But we're not even looking at pyramids. We're looking at like diamonds.
Yes.
Half the picture.
That's why diamonds are so important, man. Like, why is it that women love them? It's because they're women, they love the master, man. So it's all like an allegory, man. Okay, Diamond is their best friend and all that shit. Yeah, that's a symbolism I see a lot. Like that was in that movie, Holy Mountain. They used that symbolism.
Do you watch a lot of movies? 'Cause I don't watch that many to look at these things.
Yeah, I guess over time I got like too many movies. I don't watch movies every day, but I watch them like more of like a research. I can't read all the time, man. It's driving me crazy. I was doing it like all the time, every day. I had to stop. It was like just words and words and words, man. I had to stop, man. I actually started like I need to calm myself down, man. That's why lately I've just been taking walks in the woods by myself and just like trying to calm myself down, man. I just felt I felt disconnected.
It's like a sensory overload when you just use your eyes to process.
Yeah, I'm trying to use everything. I learned so much when I just go back to the basics of nature, man. I thought it was interesting when you look at like pine trees. I was looking at like the leaves and the needles, and at the tips of these needles, right? I guess it's like where it buds, it like creates this type of like a and we like that. That's where that smell comes from a pine tree. Like, and I wonder, like, where I paste, what's the purpose of that? Maybe birds or something eat it. I don't know. What caterpillars.
You can understand a concept by reading a book, but you can understand that concept a lot faster by knowing the allegories, and then you can understand a whole bunch of allegories by knowing or experiencing.
Yeah.
The faster stuff.
Yeah, because reality is so complex. It's easier to just put into an allegory for a human being to get the concept of it. You know, get the gist of it or put it into an allegory.
But, I mean, if you could activate some type of genetic memory or something so it can actually, like, pour in, you would learn.
Nature actually helps with that genetic memory.
I think it's linked to, like, how you feel, what you're eating, factors that we don't even know about, too. You know, like,
well, I don't know. The diet, like, I guess, I don't know how much the diet really factors in. I know it's like, it's your environment and how much you're using your senses in that environment. Like, when you're in pure nature, when you're in the middle of the woods, you're forced to use senses that you don't use, like when you're in your house or something.
When you're in the woods and things like that, where if you actually live there and live naturally, you wouldn't be inducing the types of stresses that exist in the city. You wouldn't be forced to drink caffeinated things, you know, to keep yourself awake. And most importantly, the most important factor is your sleep, because you need a regular sleep pattern where you can sleep.
Yeah, you're supposed to. I started doing that, man. Like I sleep now, right? At like 10, 11 o'clock, latest 12, and I wake up at 7, 6:30, 7 o'clock. I'm moving with nature, with creation. I'm moving with it. I feel so much better when I do that. Like I wake up with the sun. I'm moving with the sun. I'll go out and take a walk in the woods like 9, 8 in the morning or something.
You know,
incredible, man. Incredible. Whatever.
Messed up, or what would mess you up, is if you lived around the northern or southern caps, because at times for 6 months it will be daylight, and for 6 months.
Yeah, I wonder what that would be like, man. Like, that's like a different like adjustment to that.
You go by a clock the whole time. You know, like people who work in those settings, you know, if you don't have a clock, they can work like a 16-hour day and they won't even know it because it's sunlight the whole time.
I don't know, man. Like, I just don't. I don't think it's total darkness. It's just like really like dim. I think.
There is light in it, of course, but just
whatever.
Of course, there's some light, but it's nighttime, so you will see like shades of different colors. But
yeah, they get to see that aurora borealis over there and stuff, right?
If you want to experience total darkness, you got to go into a cave. That's like.
But even in the cave, like underground, I think they have light down there too.
Certain areas, if there's like a light emitting source, I don't know from what. I'm sure it's possible, but there are places where if there's no light hitting it, then it's like total darkness. So think of all the animals that live down there, with how they have to adapt so they can start seeing.
Yeah, like the way their skin looks like it's gray, white. Like I watched there's a series called Earth. They have it like HD or Blu-ray or whatever. And they go into different parts of the world. And one episode I saw was they go into these caves, South America caves, and like the animals that you see above ground, like these are generations of animals who lived in these underground caves, and they're all white, man. you got crabs that are completely white. They're completely blind. They just adapted to that lifestyle. And it just shows you like whole ecosystem in caves, from bats to like these little slimy things that go on the roof of the ceiling of the cave. It's really interesting stuff.
Organisms living
mm-hmm.
in space.
What happened?
Organisms living in space. Right?
I don't know, man. If any organism can live in space, in outer space. I don't think that's possible.
I think it's possible if there's something protecting it.
Yeah, like it has to be living on maybe. I don't know about that, man. Even like you think bacteria could live on that?
Yeah, of course. If they can adapt to that, I'm sure they use some type of different energy. But in terms of humans, we need some type of protective barrier. On Earth, we have the atmosphere, and then if you go on different planets, they don't have the type of atmosphere we have. Our planet is too perfect. It's kind of
the conditions. All it's just that we formed around these conditions. Things like like
pattern, like the sun, for example, is what gives the Earth its motion that it has and all these different characteristics of seasons and all these things. So the sun plays a big factor. It's interesting to note whether they manipulated the functioning of the sun for their benefit, or whether they can't manipulate it, so they're working around it. By they, I mean like the controlling structures,
Yeah, I was thinking, I got this book, I was thinking of mailing it to you. It's called Synthetic Philosophy.
Synthetic Philosophy?
It's by Herbert A. Spencer, I think. You heard of him, right?
I'll look it up, yeah, I heard of him.
It's an old book, antique book I bought. But this is more your stuff, like
Wait, is this
completely scientific terminology, man. Like it gets really I have to take a break and come back to I can't just read it because I'll get lost. I have to like take a break and come back.
Is this the Rosicrucian though? Or that Spencer guy?
No, he was like the guy who I think he was good friends with Darwin. He basically like was finding a way to better explain like evolution, I guess. Interesting. It's really whatever.
There's a lot of Rosicrucians that go by that name. I know Spencer's like there's a link.
Yeah, it is Spencer is a name. You see a lot.
Synthetic.
That's actually Tom's last name. From Scotland. His last name is Spencer.
I've been talking to I don't know her name. I forgot. But Glen's wife.
Glen's wife?
Yeah.
Oh, you talked to her?
Have you talked to her? No, I haven't talked to her. I wanted to ask her.
Oh yeah, I talked to her.
I wanted to ask her.
You want to speak to her?
Maybe next time about her views on the hermaphrodites. Because I know Glen said she explained some things, and I want to see what she has to say.
Yeah, she has like her view on things. It's interesting. Her view, like her whole life experience is like is really interesting.
I've seen.
It's pretty unique. What happened?
That's her in the videos. Yeah, it's a kind of strange life experience.
Oh, like, she'll even explain that, like things that were like her mind, like it seemed like was like manipulated.
She looked
things that she was saying. She told me that she was programmed. Like she didn't even know where that stuff came from. That's what she told me. And you really have to kind of get to know her.
if that's true, it shows the level of technology they're at, or they were at.
Yeah. Like, it's basically like they can do things like, you know, like split personality, like shit like that. You know, like things that she was involved in, right? And she was involved in like ritual stuff. She doesn't even like know about that. There was things, a whole part of her life she didn't even know about, and it ain't. And then later on, she started like.
You know, they don't let go of people like that. Like once they interfere, they won't just put them out there.
She can't remember.
But
most of the things she did with it. They don't want to. They can't kill her because she's their mother goddess. She's like a figurehead to them. She's dead.
Saying that she's being watched.
She was what happened?
Watched for sure.
She's what?
Saying that she is being watched for sure.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's why she she can't really do a lot of things like. That's why she chose to like kind of like stay in the background and like come out like that, like because of who she is, you know. She says that her DNA is the original DNA. But you got to talk to her. I really don't want to speak for her. She can show. It's really interesting the stuff that she says. Yeah.
Ogdensburg and things like that.
Kind of made me think of like look at my life and really like my life is nothing like that. And just think about your life. Like I think about like type of life she had, type of life Glen had. It's like I mean, I guess my life is some interesting things that happened to me in my life, but it didn't seem so dramatic like that. Man. My life seemed more like he's in the mix of things. What was in the mix of things? Yeah.
I gotta get going right now, so I'll talk to you next week.
All right.
No one else is on? I'm just gonna.
I gotta check. Let me see. I think I'm gonna get off too. Nobody calls in if you just. And nobody's on. Talk about what you know, not what you suppose. Blind leading the blind. All right. Anybody else calling in? Okay. All right.